Greetings, children. Goal Guard Whitey here. A lot of players say that passing is just passing, that a lot of point guards can do passing just well enough, that pass-based characters are actually obsolete and not really that useful compared to others who specialize in other tasks. Well, I disagree with that. And today, I'm gonna show you why that is the case. Alright everyone, so today we're gonna be talking about Albert. Now, if I just have to be honest, I know a lot of people will say it's Yui, but I disagree. I'd say the first really specialized passer point guard is Albert. And that's because of his ability, specific pass. This was I'd say the OG really pass-based ability out there that just, helped out the point guard in many ways than just being limited to one use, right? Specific pass was just so useful in so many different ways that I'd say Albert was really the first point guard that was really specialized in actually passing the ball. So, let's talk about what Albert does first. Albert is a point guard who specializes in passing, can score pretty well with his unique skills, and I'd say is one of the point guards that can really work with any characters that you give him. Any characters, big or scorer, anyone, you can work with Albert. That's how good of a point guard Albert is, and that's because he's a pass-based point guard that has really good abilities. So let's go ahead and take a look into his pure stats. So looking here at Albert's stats, we can see that he has 61 3-point shot. That's actually really good for a point guard. That's actually really decent, and that makes Albert a really good 3-point shooter. He also has 51 mid-range. That's actually not too bad for a point guard either. It's not still his specialty, but he can still do it here and there. 81 close shot, that's one of the highest in the entire game. It is Albert's job to actually lay up, but again, it's still his job to pass more. He's just a lot better at, using layup than other point guards. 24 dunk, that's what you'd expect for a point guard, not that good. 38 steal, he isn't really steal focused anyway, so that's not really that important. 46 dribble, I've said it before, and you guys already know dribble, really useless. Don't get this stat, it doesn't really matter, even if it's high or low. 71 pass, that's actually really good. Of course, like I've said before, Albert specializes in passing the ball. That is one of his specialties, and that's why this is really good for him. He has 71 raw pass, and that's really, really good. 74 speed, that's also not a lie. Albert is really fast. One of the fastest characters in the entire game, and I actually run a speed build Albert, and even before Ace, he's been one of the fastest in the entire game. 74 speed, not a lie, Albert is a very fast point guard. Also, we have 38 jump, that's actually one of the highest ones for a point guard. Not really that important, it doesn't really change that much about anything. 22 rebound, 26 block, and 18 power, about what you'd expect from a point guard. So, with all these being said, what do I want you guys to increase? Well, in my opinion, you need to solely focus on giving Albert pure speed. Pure speed is the way to go and nothing else, in my opinion. So, make sure to max out his speed, okay? Make sure to max out Albert's speed for most of your gear, your materials, jersey and such, pour most of it into giving Albert speed. We want to maximize Albert's speed so much so that he can help very, very effectively against any characters that can shoot properly. His defense is going to be really good, his offense too, so make sure to give Albert almost pure speed, or actually just pure speed, yeah? Give him speed as much as you can give him, and if there are any left, I'd say give Albert a little bit of pass, a little bit more accuracy for your teammates, and a little bit of 3 points if there's just anything left, so he can actually sink those if he manages to get wide open. So again, I want you guys to focus on his speed, and if there's any left, just put a little bit of 3-point or pass on Albert's stats. So with those being said, let's go ahead and take a look at his different skills. Here we go. As you can see, Albert really specializes in passing even with skills. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of his skills. So first up, we have his first level 4 alley-oop. It's an exclusive skill. Not really that important, especially in high tier. Very easy to block if the enemy knows what they're doing. You don't really need this. It actually is a bad thing. Sometimes it's gonna activate accidentally. You never know. So it's way too risky, especially at high tier battles. So I don't really recommend that you have this unless they, put it as an aux button or something, but that's gonna mess with way too many stuff. So yeah, alley-oop, not really useful, I'd say. Don't get this, especially if you're at high tier. Do not get this skill. It's not really needed. So next up, we have dive. Point guard's most important skill, of course. It's their most important skill. Make sure to max this out as soon as possible. If there's one skill that you want to max out as soon as possible, it's going to be dive. Especially if you're a point guard, it's going to be dive. Way too important to not have this. Make sure to max this out. Next up, we have quick fill-in. Not really mandatory to have, just nice to have if you don't have a lot of speed. But since Albert does have a lot of speed, this might help you out sometimes. Might. Not really mandatory, but nice to have still, since it might help you out. Next up, we have the third PG staple skill, which is bounce pass. Make sure to get this. Very useful against characters like Neko and Justin, who keep stealing away from you, even White and Ayumi, to avoid those intercepts. Make sure to get this as well and max it out to have its bonus. So we'll take a look at his second exclusive skill, Smart Layup. Smart Layup, make sure to get this. This opens up so many strategies for Albert. Albert and 3-point shooters, someone like Fire King, or Albert and Silver Wolf, many characters to attack the paint. It really opens up a lot of opportunities and a lot of different strategies that you can use with Smart Layup. So make sure to get this skill and make sure to max it out, especially since Albert is the only point guard in the game with this ability. Next up, we have a specific pass. This also very important. This makes it so that you can pass to a specific character without having the risk of not passing the ball because they're at the same direction. Very important. Very important. This is what makes Albert such an important character. It's that he can pass specifically to who he wants from how far it is. It's fine because his specific pass also has a built-in pinpoint. So make sure to get this skill maxed out. And if there's one skill that you're going to want to max out first, it's going to be dive, but then you want to max out specific pass afterwards. This is going to be very important. Make sure to max out specific pass as soon as possible. And of course, lastly, we have Smart Layup Pass. This just makes it so that he can pass while he's doing a smart layup. Make sure to get this. Smart Layup is pretty much useless without this, but combined with this, Albert's Smart Layup is just so deadly. He can pass, but he can also score. It's really good. Make sure to get Smart Layup Pass if you're getting Smart Layup. Make sure to max out these two skills as well once possible. So, as you saw, a lot of those skills attached to Albert are very pass-based, with Smart Layup being a good scoring option as well. This is why I keep saying that Albert is such a great character to start with if you start playing this game. If you just started, Albert is a great pick since it teaches you that passing is very good. It gives you wins if you pass, and you can still score as a point guard with Albert. So not only that, but you can also do different strategies with Albert. So again, if there's one character I recommend to those who have never played this game and is just starting, it's going to be Albert. I'd say unlock Albert and you'll have the best, I'd say, spreadsheet. Should I say that? You have the best spread of skills that you can get that will result in you getting victories and is going to result in you having more fun. So with those being said, let's go ahead and look at a match where I use the different skills listed on this page, and let's talk about Albert some more. Alright, so firstly, let's talk about what teammates you're going to want to get when you use Albert. Who are you going to want to team up with? And here's a good answer to that. There's no preference. You don't have a preference when you play with Albert. Like I've said, Albert works with any team that you actually put out. Any team, I mean. Any team, any teammates that you can get, any players that you play with, Albert is going to work with. So let's say you team up with a Fire King or a Zachary or a Robbie or a Rocket, a Ranger, an Albert, or let's say Elise, Marcus, even Silverwolf, Randy. You are going to do very well with any of those guys. Okay, Albert is very, very good since he is very, very flexible. He is one of the best PGs out there because he can work with any team out there. So with that being said, instead of just giving you guys the teammates that you're gonna want to actually use with him, since he already works with everyone, instead I'm just gonna give you a couple of strategies that I personally have seen or used when I've used Albert. So the first one that I'd like to give is when he teams up with a Fire King and a Robbie or an Emma. Albert can be on the inside, always trying to lay up. A lot of point guards, and I mean a lot of players, for some reason don't know how to actually block his smart layup too. You do have to put yourself in a weird position, but it's not the hardest thing in the world. But yeah, it's very effective since a lot of players actually don't know how to block his smart layup as well. So with that, if he teams up with a Fire King and a Robbie or Emma, they can do the screen strategy where Fire King keeps getting the ball and he just keeps on trying to get wide open looks or shooting contested trees and actually making them with just how busted that thing right now is at SBA. But yeah, Albert is a perfect pick for that because if he can't get any trees to go in, Albert can just go inside and slash and, get an easy layup, since again, a lot of players don't actually know how to block him if they're using PG or SG, and even PF sometimes. But yeah, that strategy works really well because Albert can slash inside while still having the ability to still pass and not be stuck on that slashing animation. And with specific pass, the Camille pass back, Camille getting screened for 3s or 2s or even ISO, Camille pass back, it works really well as well, especially with the screens included, since Albert can pass, again, specifically to just Camille, because he has specialized pass. That's why that ability is so good, and it works really well with the Camille pass back strategy as well. And it's just really, really effective, again, because of specialized pass. But yeah, that's just some of the strategies that I can give you guys. Maybe in the future we'll talk about some other strategies in strategy school, but for now, let's go ahead and talk about what matchups you're gonna want to actually get or avoid when you're using Albert. And with just like the first time I've said, because Albert is so flexible, your team is not going to be, just one thing. It's going to be different teams. You can play with any strategy that you can with Albert, and that's why your matchups is also going to be very non-specific. You know, you're not really gonna be sure what you're gonna be using, what strategy you're gonna be using with Albert, and so it can be very good or, you know, bad, or maybe just neutral when it comes to actually facing off against other matchups. But yeah, just like earlier, you don't really have a good or bad matchup with Albert. Everything is very neutral, and that's a good thing. So yeah, don't be scared of anything if you use Albert, because it's pretty much going to be neutral. You don't really know if you have an advantage or not, or if you have a disadvantage, but yeah, it's just neutral. And lastly, when it comes to meta, I'd say Albert is actually pretty good in meta. He's not really used that much in high tier, but I can assure you, if someone used him on a high tier, they can be very effective with him. They can be very effective with Albert. Albert is a really good point guard. He can definitely go up against meta if you use him properly. He's just not really the most popular since, you know, he doesn't specialize on defense or on offense. He's just past specialized, but in my opinion, if Albert was used properly there, yeah, he is going to dominate. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it's been very helpful. I hope that you've been entertained somehow. And I'll catch you on the next one.